Skittles are probably my favourite multicoloured fruit-flavoured lentil-shaped candies. They taste great, and I'm pretty sure that because Skittles are fruit-flavoured, they count as one of your 5-a-day recommended fruits and veg. Also, they're British, like me, so God save the king or whatever. But one thing about Skittles that is a bit different, shall we say, is their advertising. M&M have their stalwart characters who have never engaged in any form of controversy, and Stickers had their Get Some Nuts Mr. T campaign. Skittles, however, Skittles adverts are weird. They range from unusual to uncomfortable to actually kind of horrifying. There's one that sticks with me, and I think it's probably the most well-known advert. It's an advert about Tim, an employee at some kind of generic office or maybe shop who has been cursed so that everything he touches turns into Skittles. He then demonstrates this by Skittleizing up his phone and desk. Obviously this is a modification on the classic Greek mythology of Midas. The story goes that a satyr, Silenus, got drunk and wandered off, only to be found by some peasants who brought him to King Midas. Midas recognised him and so treated him really well and let him crash on the couch for 10 days before giving him a ride back to Dionysus, the Greek god of, among other things, getting drunk, watching plays, ritual madness, and fruit. That definitely includes Skittles. Dionysus was so hyped about this that he offered Midas free choice, and Midas stupidly asked that whatever he touched turned into gold. After turning sticks and stones into gold, he was pretty hyped. However, he was not as hyped whenever he found that any food he touched turned to gold, and thus was not edible. Unlike edible gold, which is edible. Still gaudy and pointless though. Depending on the version of the story, his daughter then came to him to complain about all the gold crap, and the idiot touched her, turning his daughter to gold. He then tried to pray it away and was advised by Dionysus himself to pop everything into the river Pactolus and it would ungoldify. Which it did, which is the mythological reason why there is so much gold and electrum in the river. In other versions of the story, Midas just died of starvation. Oof, rough stuff. Midas' story goes on more, but that's where the relevancy ends here. Much like in this story, I can't help but wonder about how Tim even manages to exist. He says that someone else put clothes on him, that he rode the bus and that he shook hands and skittleified them, which implies that he's still able to get about, but also that he's not used to the power at all. It's genuinely kind of horrifying, the idea of being able to render someone into candy with a mere touch, wielding the power to destroy life. Interestingly, as opposed to gold, I'm relatively sure that Skittles are edible, so food would not be a concern, although I'd imagine even I could get sick of Skittles if everything I ate turned into them. On the other hand, maybe there's some way to kind of utilise this power for good. Imagine the capability to render all waste into Skittles. An absolute game changer for the environment, surely. The potential use for the Skittles as some kind of energy source? I'm no chemist. I have a first in psychology from a mid-tier university. But I am aware that Skittles have a lot of sugar in them, which contains a lot of energy, and that could be used for combustion reactions, I think. Maybe there's potential to utilise this curse to create unlimited energy. But then there's the thing that stays with me the most about this advert. The wider implications of the curse. What caused it? How does it even work? What does it imply? It's reminiscent of how Lovecraft horror works for me in that it plays on my fear of the irrelevance of mankind, the introduction of some fact or existence that renders all my previous understanding moot. If this guy's hands turn everything into Skittles, a thing that I can't understand or even possibly theorise on how it is capable, then what else is capable? What else have I misunderstood about the way the world works? How is this power possible? Where did it come from? Where did it go? Where did it come from? Cotton Eye Joe. As far as solutions go, I think the best thing I can think of is that because it seems like only Tim's hands cause things to turn into Skittles, that he could potentially make a pair of gloves lined internally with Skittles, thus creating a barrier between himself and the gloves and anything outside. Either way, you killed a guy, Tim, because you forgot about the curse. Get your head out your ass, dude. So that's what I think about the Skittles adverts, and more precisely this particular Skittles advert. What's your theory? How would you deal with the curse? Is the red Skittle the best? Of course it is. Don't be daft. Alright. See ya!